We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming with breaking news from Storyland. It's utter chaos out here, folks. We've just received word that multiple conflicts have broken out across different narratives, shaking up plots and driving characters to action. Out in Rainbow Ridge, best friends turned rivals are vying for the same art award. The competition is really heating up. Flying over Adventure Isle, a brave explorer is battling against harsh weather and wild animals. Will they manage to survive against the merciless forces of nature? In the District of Dystopia, our characters are challenging the unjust rules of their society. The tension is thick as they rally for change. And finally, in the city of Celestia, our antagonist is wrestling with their identity, while our brave protagonists are facing off with a rogue machine. Can they outsmart technology to save the day? Stay tuned as we continue our live coverage of the exciting world of conflict in fiction. Today, as you may have guessed, we'll be learning all about conflict. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to understand the role of conflict in fiction, identify the 5 types of conflict, and analyze how conflict contributes to the overall meaning of a story. Do you have your PDF ready to take your guided notes? Terrific! Let's get to work. Conflict in a story is the problem or struggle that the main character has to face. Conflict is everywhere. It drives stories forward, creates tension, and pushes characters to grow. It's what makes plot interesting and exciting. Do you remember the 6 elements of plot? We learn about the conflict after the exposition and the inciting incident. This is where we begin to figure out which type of conflict is unfolding. The events of the rising action get more intense as the characters try to solve the conflict. Remember, the climax is the turning point of the plot. This is when we start to resolve the conflict that's been unfolding. As we start to wind down with the falling action, the conflict approaches a final resolution, which is the end of the story. The conflict has been solved, all loose ends are tied up, and our story has concluded. There are 5 types of conflict that you'll find in stories. Character versus character, character versus nature, character versus society, character versus technology, and character versus self. 4 of the 5 types of conflict are external. When a conflict is external, it means it happens between the character and something or someone else in their world. Character versus self is an internal conflict. This is a struggle or problem that's happening inside a character's mind or heart. Now that we know the different types of conflict, let's revisit those news stories from the start of the lesson. Play along with me to see if we can figure out which types of conflict are taking place in Storyland and how they connect to the plot. Out in Rainbow Ridge, best friends turned rivals are vying for the same art award. Maya and Sam have been friends since kindergarten, but over the past few weeks, they've turned into enemies throughout the art competition. What type of conflict do you think they're having? I'm definitely seeing character versus character. Maya and Sam are fighting for the same prize, and this ultimately leads them to fight with each other, driving the story and creating tension. The resolution of the conflict and the lessons Maya and Sam learn from it can make the story more meaningful. Back to Adventure Isle, a brave explorer battles harsh weather and wild animals. Will they manage to survive against the merciless forces of nature? Which type of conflict do you think is happening here? What about character versus nature? We've got our main character facing off against the natural elements of the island, fighting to survive. This conflict definitely adds tension and suspense to the plot. In the district of dystopia, characters are challenging the unjust rules of their society. The tension is thick as they rally for change. What type of conflict do you see here? Well, government is a part of the structure of society, so I'm definitely seeing a character versus society conflict here. Even though the characters aren't fighting against specific people, their conflict with society is full of suspense and helps us to understand the author's message. That leaves us with the city of Celestia. Our antagonist wrestles with their identity, while our brave protagonists face off with a rogue machine. Remember, we've got Zara and Kai battling against a machine that's gone out of control. Which type of conflict are you seeing here? Without a doubt, this is a perfect example of character versus technology. Our protagonists are battling against a technological force, in this case, one of Magnus's inventions, to save the city from destruction. Often, stories with character versus technology conflicts want to teach us a lesson about how we use technology, and to be mindful of how it can impact our lives both positively and negatively. But what other type of conflict is going on here? What about character versus self? Remember, an internal conflict is a struggle or problem that is happening inside a character's mind or heart. It could be that they are fighting with how they feel about something or someone, or how they feel about themselves. They might even realize they need to change something about their personality or behavior. In Shadows over Celestia, who appears to be struggling with something internal? Why don't you pause the video to read an excerpt from the story? When you finish reading, make a guess about who is having an internal conflict and explain your thoughts in your guided notes. Meet me back here when you're done. Welcome back. Let's have a look. It seems like Magnus has played a huge role in this story. He's not fighting with the other characters, but he is fighting with himself. He wants to help the city that he loves and see his inventions come to life. But those internal feelings are often at odds with his actions. He didn't mean to cause such a problem with his machine, and he needs to look within himself to figure out how to channel his creativity responsibly. We learned a lot about conflict and how it shapes the plot and characters of a story. Remember, conflict pits the character up against another element. This element could be external, like other characters, society, nature, or technology, but it could also be an internal conflict the character has with themselves. Analyzing the conflict of a story also helps us understand the overall theme or lesson the author is trying to teach us. We'll be looking more at theme as a topic in a future lesson. For more practice, you can always check out the PDF that accompanies today's lesson. This is Justin signing off from Storyland. Until next time, my conflict crusaders.